You know that moment when you finally crawl into bed, the lights are off, your body is tired, and your brain goes, great. Now that it's silent, let's replay your entire life in 4K. So you do what you always do. You reach for the fan, the white noise machine, the rain app, the podcast you've heard 12 times, the YouTube video with the calm voice that feels like a verbal blanket. Maybe if you're feeling a little rebellious, you put on the TV and tell yourself you're only going to listen, not watch, which is the bedtime equivalent of saying, I'll just have one chip. And then it happens. The background noise starts. Your shoulders drop. Your eyelids get heavy. Your brain finally stops pacing like a stressed out security guard. If you can't sleep without background noise, you've probably had people look at you like you're strange. Wait, how do you sleep with that on? I need total silence. Isn't that bad for you? And here's the twist. The common assumption is that you're distracted or addicted to stimulation. But the psychological reality is often the opposite. For a lot of people, background noise isn't entertainment. It's regulation. It's your brain saying, I can't relax in a world that feels unpredictable unless I create a steady, safe soundscape. Let me show you why. Your brain is not built for silence the way modern bedrooms are. For most of human history, night wasn't a quiet, sealed box with perfect insulation and blackout curtains. Night was alive. Wind, insects, crackling fires, distant animals, other humans breathing nearby. The kind of sound that says, the world is still here, and you're still part of it. Total silence can feel unnatural to a nervous system that evolved to monitor the environment. And if you're a little more sensitive by temperament, by stress, by life experience, silence can feel less like peace and more like exposure. Like you're alone on a stage and the spotlight just clicked on. One of the simplest reasons background noise helps is also one of the least glamorous. It masks other sounds. Your brain is weirdly good at noticing changes. A steady hum becomes wallpaper, but a sudden creak, a car door, a neighbor's laugh, a random bang in the hallway, those are changes. And changes are what your brain treats as maybe important. There's a classic study often referenced in sleep medicine where researchers exposed people to recorded ICU noise and found that adding mixed frequency white noise increased arousal thresholds. Basically, it made people less likely to wake up from sudden peaks in noise because the difference between baseline sound and spike got smaller. That's the key idea. Consistent sound can smooth out the jagged edges of the night. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to read a book while someone occasionally flicks the lights on and off. Annoying, right? But if the light is steady, your brain stops monitoring it. Background noise is steady lighting for your ears. And yes, there's research suggesting that for some people, white noise can improve sleep, both subjectively and objectively, especially in people who already complain about difficulty sleeping. But the bigger truth is that findings are mixed across studies, and not everyone benefits the same way. Which actually makes sense because you're not a generic human participant. You're you, with your own stress history, sound sensitivity, routines, and brain quirks. Now here's where it gets more personal. Sometimes you're not using background noise to block the outside world, you're using it to block the inside world. Because silence has a sneaky feature, it gives your thoughts room to echo. If you tend to ruminate, replaying conversations, predicting disasters, rewriting the past with better comebacks, silence can feel like your brain finally has the microphone. Background noise is like handing your thoughts a smaller stage. It doesn't erase them. It just stops them from turning into a full production with costumes, lighting, and an intermission. In neuroscience terms, when you're resting, a network in the brain often called the default mode becomes more active. It's involved in self-reflection, memory, imagining the future, basically mental wandering. That can be lovely. It can also become an anxiety trampoline at 2 a.m. If your default mode tends to wander into worry, a steady sound can act like a gentle anchor, not a chain. An anchor. And if you're someone who grew up in an environment where nights weren't calm, maybe there was tension, arguments, unpredictability, or you had to stay alert, your nervous system may have learned a painful lesson. Quiet does not always equal safe. In that case, background noise can become a modern lullaby, not because you're childish, but because your body is trying to unlearn hypervigilance. The hum tells your system, nothing is changing, nothing is approaching, you can finally stand down. Honestly, it's kind of heartbreaking and kind of brilliant at the same time. There's also something called conditioning, your brain's ability to link a cue with a state. If every night you fall asleep with a fan, your brain starts treating that sound like a sleep switch. Just like some people feel awake the moment they smell coffee, your brain can feel sleepy the moment it hears that familiar whoosh. This is why people say, I can't sleep without it. And they mean it. It's not just preference, it's a learned association. Your brain has built a shortcut. Background noise becomes the hallway that leads to sleep. And without it, you're standing at the front door like, wait, where's the entrance? Culturally, we've done this forever. Think about lullabies. Think about bedtime stories. Think about the rhythmic sounds of a train or the ocean that people describe as knocking them out. Even ancient communities used repetitive sound, chants, drums, humming, as a way to soothe and regulate. The pattern is the point. Predictability is calming. Now, not all background noise is created equal, and your brain knows that too. A fan is steady, rain sounds are steady, a white noise machine is steady, but a podcast or TV show is sneaky because it's not just sound, it's language, it's meaning, it's plot. And your brain is a meaning-making machine. If you fall asleep to TV, part of you might be using it like emotional company. The presence of voices can reduce loneliness or simply make the room feel less empty. It's like having someone in the next room, living their life while you drift off. For some people, that's deeply soothing. But there's a catch. Screens often come with light, and light is not neutral to your sleep biology. Blue light can interfere with melatonin release and shift your body clock, which is why sleep experts often warn about TV and phone exposure close to bedtime. So if your background noise includes a glowing screen, the sound might be calming while the light is quietly telling your brain, it's daytime, bestie. This is why some people do better with audio only, speaker, phone face down, screen off. So you get the soothing sound without the sunrise simulator effect. And then there's the whole world of color noise, white noise, pink noise, brown noise. People talk about them like they're choosing a paint color for their bedroom. I'm more of a brown noise person. And while the internet can get a little mystical about it, there is real science exploring how certain auditory stimulation might interact with sleep physiology. For example, some studies suggest carefully timed pink noise stimulation during deep sleep can enhance slow-wave activity and improve memory in certain populations, like older adults or mild cognitive impairment groups. The key phrase there is carefully timed, not just blasting noise all night, more like gently nudging the brain at the right moments, the way you'd push someone on a swing only when they're already moving forward. But it's also important to keep your feet on the ground. Not all continuous noise is beneficial for everyone, and there are concerns that steady noise at certain intensities could disrupt sleep architecture in some cases. So the goal isn't noise forever, louder is better. The goal is the smallest amount that helps you feel safe enough to sleep. Which brings us to a big psychological theme hiding under all of this: control. When you can't control the world at night, random sounds, your thoughts, your stress, tomorrow's responsibilities, you can control one thing: your sound environment. Background noise is a tiny nightly active agency. You're basically telling your brain, I got you, here's the steady signal, you can stop scanning. And if you have ADHD tendencies or a highly reactive attention system, this can be even more relevant. Some brains hate understimulation. In silence, they generate stimulation internally. Thoughts, worries, random memories, impulses to reorganize your entire life at midnight. A consistent sound can give that part of the brain something low stakes to latch onto, reducing the need to create chaos for entertainment. It's like giving a restless puppy a chew toy so it doesn't eat the couch. Now, if you're listening and thinking, okay, but why do I feel almost uncomfortable in silence? You're not broken. You're not too dependent. You're not failing at sleep. You're learning what your nervous system responds to. And there's a compassionate reframe here. Needing background noise is often a sign that your brain is trying to be kind to you. It's trying to transition you from alertness to rest in a world that doesn't always feel restful. I hear the question isn't, how do I force myself to sleep like someone else? The question is, What is my brain trying to solve at night? And can I help it solve that more gently? Maybe the answer is keeping the fan. Maybe the answer is switching to a steadier sound if your current one has sudden volume changes. Maybe the answer is turning the screen off and keeping the audio. Maybe the answer is experimenting with lower volume because your ears deserve care too. But psychologically, the deeper win is this: you're not just chasing sleep, you're building safety. And safety is the doorway sleep walks through. So tonight, if you reach for that familiar hum, don't judge yourself. Notice what happens in your body when the sound starts. Do your shoulders drop? Does your breathing slow? Do your thoughts stop shouting and start whispering? And that's your nervous system saying, yes, that, we can work with that. And if you want to explore it, try this little thought experiment. What is the background noise doing for you, masking the outside world, soothing the inside world, or keeping you company? There's no wrong answer. There's just information. And information is power, especially when your brain has been trying to fall asleep with one eye open. If this felt painfully relatable, I'd love to hear what your sleep sound is. Fan, rain, podcasts, a show you've watched 100 times? And if you've ever tried to sleep in silence and felt your brain immediately start a TED Talk, tell me what it talks about, because I promise you're not the only one. Stick around if you want more deep but human breakdowns of why we do what we do. And if you want, unsubscribe, because sleep is hard enough without feeling weird about the ways you cope.